or they call Ghana court because officer Ghana court and they bet to me approve a dear dance the amano. Ghana court no so the call no. Ghana court no anji antum. Enti the amenti as the answer into a Ghana court no ebu manwa entinka omo question the jurisdiction of the court no entinka no so bem doubt ya na.
Hey, na Canada lawyer be or the same way betu. Also share. Lumba anya mistake bi a. Say Lumba ko wari Odo Broni nti wa fomomra. Also debi. Debi. Also Lumba anya boni bi a na Lumba was a good man and he knew what he was going through.
Nobody knows the Ntia or no moving on to go and marry, and nobody can decide for another person because we decide for ourselves and legally, so no, we have the right to enter into marriage. Every adult or two consensual adults have the right to enter into a marriage, and they have the right to also divorce.
Na sebi. Obi no oti head no baka so ofi aba betena bumsam je. Be dey here for 7 Ghana TV na hwe an. Aye lawyer no dey tudwa no. She's very good. Oyobi a oboa nipa o Canada o pa. No kan o se hwe. Na ye court na ye be court na appeal ko we taking the time at church and say mu pa concerning Lumba. Akusia se wa no Odo Broni live ni court cases ni nyina. Be dey here for. And it's 7 Ghana TV na hwe. Me patcho me bonete. So hwe video on yadi bi mami subscribe mami ehia me pa. Share this video for me as well on all social media platforms and so. 7 Ghana TV me obi. Obre wo but still ye be edwuma yakogo mu ampota Thursday, Friday your Independence Square. You know the whole days now. And then dance call Confanochi Kuma Ukugba. You know, I told you the content for ever started there, but maybe started rolling. Your call normally we have to come back because when we want to be a moon then they will allow for public visit and all that. Yeah, quite the concrete information there, but sorry, it's as a Confanochi. So you could be so uncomfortable. Yes, you pon or yeah, or a Confanochi, the other Yamede no they say so we then you swear back on something and mambrani and money. Some concerning Ghana. As I say, wouldn't baby Aufia, wouldn't baby Awoko. Yan to answer so. Answer I made to answer about your TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, X. Baby, I media grow. Hope you patch subscribe, mommy, follow mommy. Ehiyame pa. Click on the notification bell. So now, lawyer Nekasan, oh say Sebi. Wojidi or Ghana court Muntina. What do I say if Germany they are by? It's not say, oh no, you're German citizen. Lumba is a German was a German citizen. And 2 German citizens who got married in Germany, any issue. Ghana court then can found by jurisdiction it's flawed. But anyways, what they are back. And you tear some kuka. And unfortunately, it didn't go the way you wanted. Emma Yakusa said, well, we didn't cook. Said, Mammy Akusasa was praying to the court to declare her the only surviving spouse. Unfortunately, she could not prove her case with ordinance certificate because she took the case to court, say, Lumba wine wedding. And a wedding, so the ordinance say 1 man, 1 woman. What I say? Into a dance, just say, okay, we a wedded woman certificate. No. Unfortunately, Mammy Akusasa could not provide any certificate, say, Lumba and what dear need a kaka. Into judge, and so or pie some kind of or pie mammy was okay because of customary blah. And I keep telling people say so okay verdict no kind judgment ni pa the judge Dr. Smith during the hospital I'm telling you like obuneni gunyama bebre so or consider nema bebre sense na opasum dwe initial omko ekwa o kan se munko fie na munko kansam munko sesi asam no but I said na bi gina so na people were cashing out they did not want any peace talks to prevail. I no na Siaga. What I say? Inti all kana no say inti mutim legal wives are moody obi atemu krom ha mu. Se mo ba Kumasi High Court no and amodi case ni fi Germany eba Ghana no say yen kama mu na mu wi ni ya. Nka would you continue to say pass all those disparaging comments about the judiciary in Ghana? These are the questions that lawyer no obi say more yes na sabi wo dey asem kokota eno nche say aya wo baby kwa ebu say wo di kan kokota and just we di bim anase we winning ebi mpa wasam na dey kokota kan kwasi asem intenya dey judge kwa be entertain sa dey it tim legal wise wo muntwa so asem na yedi awie sabi Lumba no zia wa ya ahwe akwa wa pro wo ti say the bones kwamponya dey ebe hu no zia wa ya ahwe anti ukotu kwa it doesn't even make sense 1 year number Odo Broni na be ye ekuna signifying say ono oye yere What I said, but the court, the lawyer said, court, Kumasi High Court, she's basing her argument on the decision of the court. Say, "Oh, me, you know, our for." In this way, baby, I can say Lumba and Odo Broni, and it is flawed. And then the credit, no be no ordinary back up and move, so on any will be brisa on your one day. But when you have been at that national video, mammy. Now, apart from that, no, or there are some food at the source. Maybe.
Or they call Ghana court because officer Ghana court and they bet to me approve a dear dance dear man. Ghana court no so they call you Ghana court no anji antum. Enti the amentias the answer is a Ghana court no ebu manwa entinka omo question the jurisdiction of the court no entinka no so bem doubt na. Hello there. On the deal story, me continue on the controversy about the marriage. And I say for first of all, mentias yes obedient no ya adults. Even if or you're married to older woman, no, not so choose or bem worry or before fra. He has the right to do it. Marriage and you're compulsory. Okay, marriage. First of all, the majority of the people in Ghana, probably 90%, if not more, come from polygamous marriage. Ghanaian society is a polygamous society. Okay, so many people are more kasa or more happy, and including dear Mankasa. Most people in Ghana, no, they were not born by one mother and one father. It is traditionally a polygamous society. Ghana also accepts polygamous marriage. One man, one marriage was introduced by Abrofofo in the name of Christianity. And as a Ghana for afasa adiano to almost justification to tarnish legend, or to harass ne yire and ne ba ne yire ketwano ne mba no justification nyina say younger wife no abeji obi. Now wabeji obi no one thing I don't understand. DL enye bag no bi akwaje no and onye car onye robot either. Or ye full adult as far as I'm aware. Each adult, unless say or ye yare for, unless say yarabia bono affecting Adrianas or dementia, no, each adult is presumed capable until deemed otherwise. DL, so as far as I know, no, obi anywa wa deemed and incapable. Now shan in your mouth, nessa dosi curry no, nini nyansa nini power associated with her. I do not think say or you be a onim dear or ye. As to why he left his other marriage to go and be with another woman, no, we all don't know yet. We don't have the details yet. But the Amintias say, what gets the Nipano Mudinem, Yiriketwana Temnen and Mana Temno, what gives them the right to do so? I mean, they've got an easier family to deal with, because if I was part of that family, I would have sought a court injunction to get a cease and desist, even to prevent them from mentioning the name, because the deceased na afasono, it is not pleasant. First of all, obi wua say ya bruchi, say ya Ghana krano, yen kan ho asembone. Number two, as I said, whether wawari and no person ko he has every right to do that, and they be more justified with no proof anyway. Say yeah. Older wife, no, and our buano, they just saying it, they haven't proven it. Number two, let's even give them the benefit of the doubt. Say, older wife, no, ni sika akodi no one for. It does not, the fact that sika akodi obi, the fact that wabu obi no, it does not prevent Nipan from divorcing you. And that's moving on with their life. They can also separate and go and be in another relationship. And approach, the only thing they cannot do is unless they first signed or annulled the other marriage. If they did marry you, your friend is saying civilly, and I say in court now, they just have to annul it before they can marry. But it doesn't prevent them. Yatini bebre, brochi akra say, a brochi akra no, the monogamous marriage by people were worried, but almost to me call any obi call. Obi to me call any obi call build a relationship. After and now when I looked into Germany or more when the spouse when marry crown nase or live it more than a year, there are processes to inform them after which you your either one of you actually can also seek a divorce. Uyana one respond, yeah, you can go ahead. There's a process laid down in Germany. Canada has said, no, if you are separated more than a year and as a back, a grounds for divorce. And so you just have to send or file a procedure before the court. It justifies either say, more separated 1 year, na mon to me and come was a mumbum, and I say, wakoni obia kwa wana so or kochiti. And these are enough grounds to divorce and move on. Into the when you naturally say, whether a abrofu diemu and I say a diemu no, the facts of our worry, it does not mean Sunny Pano is bound to you forever. And it's so worry. And nobody knows, the entire or no moving on to go and marry. And nobody can decide for another person. Because the we decide for ourselves. And legally, so we have the right to enter into marriage. Every adult or two consensual adults have the right to enter into a marriage, and they have the right to also divorce. And say a problem and manipa bebre. And what you say in this particular case, whether or annul the other marriage or not, is up to the court to decide. But as far as I know, as of October, November, na Ghana court as well really say the other marriage now yes na estandi preventing from remarrying. The other party could improve it. So as far as we know, there wasn't any other rules that deal and as a younger spouse na breaky. And a tradition polygamous marriage is allowed, and those marriages are also even legal. Into the amentia and say a problem for okay. Even besides everything, the person has died. Enti nipa we need to accord nipano with dignity and respect. Or be a criminal crampono ya according with respect and dignity. In this case, Nipa Ashadaya said they will not let the guy rest. And on top of it, there's been constant harassment of Nemba and the supporters and the younger wife that I do not understand. Nagana I think said the laws and the courts are too lenient. And Nagana no so ankasa nipa bebre epasem esrasem. What you say, omo pe facha na facha odine bone pa na manfo ye je mu memfa anya yi because nipa no ye obusuani na o harasewa. People may still advise you say or no wandwen say or ye obusuani na or the wako court but also the no court bia na manfo fi say womom no you are wrong. Ne tintini ne tietie nyina na say me no I don't know what is it that is people's problem. DL made a choice to go ahead and go and be with another woman. And there is a reason he did that. And he has every right to move on. So Breki and Brampono, only power cannot be prosecuted. And the mamma on the property, Chroma so worry be. Say your brony and no more worrying about who are moving on over 17 years or so. On Bejnaho, even marriage, and I know Kran and Kobejiatum said they are still legally married. I am separate here. But me, I've come across so many families that their spouses are married, but our pointy ebia ninuya, ne mame, ne ba, and I say even a damn for and a lawyer crowd to be decision maker, including ne otia sis or yarea. So the fact that Nipano they are still married, it doesn't mean say ni yiro no neneti wanted they trust them enough. So no name ko making a decision. And no tin kroma. So be crying a spouse or nene daso worry no problem, who cry when you're aware of any problem. Nase oba hospital wupo was so bisano who is their decision maker. Offense to even to share information with the spouse, you need Nipan and permission. What you say? And to the fact that they are married, it doesn't make them automatic decision makers. Number one. Number two, it doesn't mean say by all means because you run into obey money. Your friend is saying executor of their will. ACWA, they appoint even friends to do it. I feel so interested or dina japadie because they're married or dina japadie ebemano. Se nipa no or your surviving spouse no. Ono ne was so prove this and be woman or prove it through the court say ebia ni so and so it was ne way property no the property wemo. They have to prove it na court the amount. But me the fact say what on you before frako wo ho no krom ha nka oni obi fofra kwa for years no nka woye the power of attorney mpo no na warrior brony most people probably more than 99% of the time even woye the power of attorney krampo no at that time no so one in kasa be 10 years 1 year 5 years or be catch or say ko ebia ne girlfriend ho and I say ko ne ba ho and I say I haven't talked to them to me who ne wishes and me feel say it's about time your society mono we need education. Yes, sir, the fact say yefa abrofo deɛ no we have to take it blindly. Now chinchina is on paper. Marriage is only it's not just on paper. Paper no comes also with a lot of things. Intimate court cry buasema they have to take the circumstances any other facts into consideration. And yet paper and why sign it.
Na me to aso no lawyer no cause dey say me to just say aya obetia no we me bonity obetia saying maame na bre initially kwa they were saying say just say look from na lumba hu me kwa ma me akusha sewa na de man ani say without akusha sewa lumba was nobody or lumba could not have become who he became say akusha sewa ne produce lumba beginning of the first executive producer and then they go forward gulumba so chantrogu to parks chantrogu odo broni obi penny bi okroma bia omo di atrofa said akwesha say one dey produce lumba which is not true omo ya information feel and buy abontina be hwe enye no kra na den if dey ko puli kind of saying catalog no also titi no talk cassette a cover na ehiem no obi information was so and na titi cd ni gramophone sa power no we say information ni na ya printed egu so e ko hwe ya the executive producer for ya Quantum it was Mr. Usu Banahini Joseph Usu Banahini it wasn't a question sewa until when a lawyer na can say mamena be no the fact that wabua will be does not mean say the person cannot divorce you or the fact that you supported somebody doesn't mean say on to me move on with their lives. It is as na you mo can say oboa no no say assuming with that admit so oboa no cry. It does not mean say he should be tied down to even if he wasn't happy in the marriage. Lawyer ne can say bebre na or can say back be or say inti sabi o ono no de ne ho and also be worry be man kan what is people's problem? It says a lumba sabi onye Jimmy fo. Na debi ameka be ma bia ni wa oye nyanseni. Owo yere, why yen Mrs. Obekwa kofa mpena. No dem mpena ni kire wiase nyina aba Mrs. Nitifie. No man will do that. Mpena twe normal we matches krampa ya ye kwapa ya disi. Ye chia ni ye pacho. What you say? How much more obi a melty sika koye onwa de ma me ni wa kokota akosane. Man and woman, because husband and wife. What you say? Yetifie yetibum. Even if we are separated, and yes, ye jai or ebi juma and as I quit na is separate and yes, ye jai. No, quack for baffle for them, the baffle from you chin, yes, and I say, Hail the Queen, this is my wife. We ni mere fufu and I'm mere amenity and oba amenity. Then my cousin oba amenity and they no patch because don't to me confer idua. I don't think of a housemaid. There be oba amenity. Uye trinia. They make out and say, until I say, Omo person crucify lumba. Na sabi obi ugwampa yankan nature somebody. Because the person is not there to explain himself or herself. The person is not there to tell us if the very things people are saying about them, they no cry and I say no cry. Me do be see anya brina da jina video mami. If you share video ni na subscribe mami watch. Subscribe to my channel on all social media platforms and so. Me will be 7 Ghana TV dina na me so ani edin fufuro bia ni 7 Ghana TV dina and I'm using TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, X, 7 Ghana TV. And I'm using Pacho Nyabrenia da jina video ni mami. Na share mami. Send in your comments and your likes. But that's it, baby. Bye-bye.
Responding again to this particular question in relation to the video I did on the day of DL's anniversary on July 26th. And as I said, there were so many other questions that came up, and this was one of them. In this particular question, there were similar questions asked in similar ways. Somebody, for example, put a comment very similar to this one to say, oh, but DL didn't marry the girl. And they are referring, this is a woman, okay, this is an adult, so we should accord her with respect. Because Akoya said Ghana, no, if somebody is older or somebody is younger, we shouldn't respect them. We should really respect them. Okay. And so again, say Ghana yedimra so pa, we shouldn't be calling her a girl. Okay, regardless of who the person is, whether they're younger or not, they're an adult, they should be respected. Okay. So somebody said Wanwareno, and somebody also wrote on it now 17 years and Wareno. Then somebody also followed up to say, Madam, and by the way, my name is Akos, Madam, the facts are on it now, you know, quarter one in Nipan the war for her. Essentially, they're claiming that DL Warren. It is very in your friends say in analysis, in friends academically and I say even legally, your friend be a friend nuanced. Nuanced means nneɛma bebree ɛnyɛ black and white saa. Sɛ nneɛma yɛ black and white even in law, sɛ nneɛma yɛ black and white and kansam ɛnkɔ courts. Your friend be a friend of black letter law. Law no ankasa kora yɛatwerɛ no. Enye no nkoa na yɛhwɛ ɛde analyzing nneɛma. Ɛno nti a so bi di asɛm ba yɛhwɛ facts, yɛhwɛ circumstances. Now sometimes yɛhwɛ precedent. Okay, deɛ nsɛm a yɛdidi before. Nti nneɛma bebree no enye straightforward black and white sɛdeɛ amanfoɔ pii ehu no no. Ɛno so nti a obi nya asɛm a ɛwɔ sɛ ɛtɔda unse obi wɔ kora sorry to say ebi a wakoku nipa. But still, I was a lawyer Nico defending. Why? Obi beka say, oh, estande I was a kuni pano, didn't hear the court. It's because it was see a factor circumstances a woni pano, the mental capacity at the time, and nyoma eko kwaswa a man kuno, so or share that's a one shada, nina no you take it into consideration, and only a friend brofumu nuances, and I say nuanced. Enti enioma enoso na kyerɛ sɛ there's a lot of gray areas one sema ebesi than just black and white. Enti law na yɛatwerɛ gu papers na nkasa no your friend black letter law, and so sometimes ya na loopholes wom, and sometimes ya na enye complete to me address it nneɛma bebree in itself. And nti I didn't sem court. But anyway, so this question, back to this question about the question said, did DL marry, and by the way, it should have been, did DL marry the lady, Priscilla? The attorney said, in this particular case, no, woman nankasa, again, I'll come back to, because the marriage was unconventional, because warrior, normal, a warrior, no, wone nipa no nete, wone nte physically krana, there has to be ongoing communication. Wone nte a would prove it, and nunti a man for bebre babrochi, no so new be a warrior. Normally, embassy wants to see proof. What is certificate in Kwakwa embassy now? Most cases, no, they may not accept. You need to attach photos such as some history, so a lot of evidence, and circumstances beyond evidence. Okay, in this particular case, there is a claim that there was an existing marriage, and then in the marriage, there is a 17-year gap. And yes, even if the paper says there is a marriage now, the fact said there is a 17-year gap where they are living separated, brings that marriage, into question. Okay, and again, yes, and whether or not there is a paper marriage, document marriage, and no, in this particular case, the circumstances has brought the marriage into question. And no soon tia, Emma ya mame no, edeko court no, because under normal circumstances, se bibia pepe pa, enka in here say, especially o matnache, no mumba nyini say no, nke in here normal marriage, whether or moti baby separate, and I say, communication cost so and your manioma be breachere, Mrs. Germany moon dear no, it was said bills be payment cost so there has to be a little bit of proof. It's just a marriage, cost so. In this case, it is in question. And one of the problems in it, and I say the man was sick for a while, and the man in the later stages, for a period of about 17 years, they didn't live together, which is a fact. Abba out, ako court. Number two, we don't even, it sounds to me that there is not even a communication. What kind of a marriage is that? And that court also call, people are saying, say, first marriage, you know, they hold it, but second one, no, a krom ha nka even ongoing relationship no the latest relationship no even with your power of attorney corona the latest supersede the old what you say ain't unless say first marriage no you break it say even first marriage no cross say prove na marriage one wasan ko ware fofra dear you be prove ya say be a obreki mbra but that doesn't necessarily say or no only second one wo ho no they weren't there. The only thing maybe court would have done is say you be invalidated the actual marriage, but it doesn't nullify the fact that on it they built a common law relationship on a womba. Okay, that cannot be erased. In this particular case, though, because yeah, mama, no, on one case, the circumstances of the marriage, you know, is in question. So, you know, and she had to prove her marriage, and on also anti me improve it. Enuntia or recognize the jurisdiction of Ghanaian court or recognizing who say Ghanaian court no and the competent authority and the court affirming the marriage no and no sunti or the court or no to me and I said the social media for can and the ono can enough and kawanfa and court or the call Ghana court because officer Ghana court and the bet to me approve a dear dance the amano Ghana court no so the call you know Ghana court no anji antum. Enti the amenti as the nti sa Ghana court no ebu manwa enti nka omo question the jurisdiction of the court no enti nka no so ombe doubt ya na enti time a odi asamo kɔ no na ombu sa Ghana court no competent na I would like to assume sa no obu Ghana court no say Ghana court no is competent eno sunti a odi koja court no. Ain't not because say yambu and corny favor and all of a sudden court no and your competent bium. Obi bisa say court no nye human beings nete hwana. Na me pacho or dia samano kono who say human beings and nete hwana. Se court no say si ano a man for a question the competence of the court na. Omo question because yambu on favor na say omo de asamno kono. Na court no still ano mu say court no nye competent. And see, and you may be yeah, we need to think about it. Near reflecting who say, some yeah, no, is that a reasonable now? Decisions be a seer. You better say, what would a reasonable person have done? In this particular case, court no boy say, prior marriage now you say a civil that could have prevented deal from remarrying, no? That it was not proven in court. And see, no, as it stands right now, no, any yejitum. What you say? It's not your opinion, your individual opinion. We can disagree with the court, but we need to be able to prove to the court, na court no jitum, because no na what authority was say jitum. And yeah, what I'm saying, and yeah, what you're saying, and I say, yeah, mama no the oka. What you say? Because court no share facts and circumstances ni nyina any deal abra boni nyina okay kan nyina bomu. And no nyina na yekeka bo mu ye maame panyini no ne evidence or the court no ni nyina na court no hwe ya it wasn't enough. Enti ye feel say civil marriage no hold it and a prevented deal from marrying na e was say to me prove it to the satisfaction of the courts and sana ye to me agiatum. Otherwise the yekeka about there was no did they marry no court no say DL married the second wife. Number one, court of science say there was nothing preventing DL from marrying the second wife because Yemami Penino was unable to prove. Ain't Yantias and yen respect courts no any DL decision and any younger wife no. Me that say. Take care. Bye. Bye.
That's be say onya abre any adaje de hwe be video ma me patcho so wahwe wi a subscribe mami on all YouTube on all social media platforms especially YouTube ya we subscribe mami o subscribing so a press notification button so say the next video na be ba no obenye bi e na wahwe 7 Ghana TV no krenkwa me am de nkomo de brewe be din e de Hayford 7 Ghana TV be that's be bre say ohwe bye bye.